And I hope that all of you have come with your open minds and ready to learn. I'll introduce myself. My name is Lolita Ejiofor, and I am the founder of AccelerateHer Africa. And this is a subject matter which has come up so many times. And as a great community of coffee and conversation, we felt it was about time for us to have it. My co-convener is Ada. So what's going to happen, I will present the first half of this presentation, of this webinar actually, and Ada will take on the next half. Okay, so for the next 20 minutes, this is what we're going to walk through. We'll start with what I like to call the money funnel, which shows how money comes in and goes out. The younger generation habits, because that funnel suddenly starts to shrink, but it is according to age, believe it or not. So I'm going to talk about the younger generation and the older generation habits, and then what can shift within that tunnel so that there's enough left over for Ada to penetrate and decipher and give you guys the best way to move forward. Okay, I want you to sit with you. You earn well. You know you should save more, but by the time it's time to invest, there's nothing left. Now, I know some of you will say, oh, I don't really earn well. It's not your earning that's the problem. It's how you behave towards your earnings, what happens in that funnel. So just think about it. So I'm going to talk about the money funnel. And you can see from this diagram here, it's really wide at the top. So at the top, we have where your income comes in. So your salary, your business, gifts, all the money that comes in. And you can see as wide as that funnel is, it's ready to receive. There's a lot of money coming in. But then as that money goes down, your needs and your lifestyle kick in. So you have your needs, which I like to believe people take care of their rent, their food, their light bill, their transportation, daily living, you know, your car breaks down, all of that stuff. So some money leaks out there. And then we have the obligation and emotional spend. So this is family support, social pressure, impulse buys. We've all been there. And then we still try to save from what we have left, but it's often inconsistent because sometimes you have something left and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have a little, sometimes you have a lot. It's not consistent. And so what's left to grow and invest is barely there. It's not enough. So this part of the webinar is going to focus on how those funnels shrink and then how we can change our behaviors so that we have enough left to grow. So every stage is a decision, okay? There's always something. So it's not about how much you earn, okay? Because I could be earning the same salary as you, but our behaviors are different. And so most of the time, it's some people that are being very deliberate on how they spend their money. They're making decisions which leaves them with far more to invest, whereas there's some people who are just on default setting. And the narrowing happens at every stage. So it's not just in the savings, but then we then start having these emotional obligations and we feel that we must spend. I'm sure some of you have been in situations where someone has come up and asked you for money and you've just given from the goodness of your heart, but it does actually affect your funnel and what you have left to invest. And funnily enough, the way the funnel is shaped changes with age. So the younger generation, their funnel is actually narrows at the beginning. And as we get older, it narrows towards the end. And I'm going to explain that. So when I refer to the younger Gen Z, the younger generation, you already know yourselves, right? The Gen Zs and the millennials who are in the room today. So what are the habits these younger generation have? So there is the lifestyle inflation and social comparisons. We spend a lot of time comparing and matching and trying to belong somewhere. So there's a lot of expenses that go on matching somebody's lifestyle on Instagram, and we feel the pressure to look a certain way, to show up a certain way. So the younger generation fall into that trap quite easily because of that social comparison. There's also the buy now, pay later and the subscription creep. We don't realize it when we subscribe to little things like even Netflix, even some tools that you don't use. You don't do an audit of all these things you subscribe to, but they are costing something. Buy now, pay later. Sometimes you feel by the time you even finish paying, do you still want that item? And then some of you feel you're too young to start saving, or that you're not earning enough to start saving. So you think, when I get my next job, or when I'm older, or when I get married, and you start having these plans and these intentions, which are not sustainable or really thought through. Then there's the Japa cost. A lot of you want to leave Nigeria or leave Africa or leave where you are for a better life, for better opportunities abroad. And so that money you're saving, you have to save for the visa, you have to save for when it's declined, you have to save a certain amount when you are told for residency, you have to show a certain amount. So you're just perpetually saving, it's eating into everything. You have nothing to show for it. And then there's the limited early exposure to investing. A lot of people are not aware. And it's really good to see that a lot of young people are here because you want to learn more. You want to grow in your financial literacy, which is a great way to start changing your habits and the way you view money. So when it comes to the older generation, I doubt there are boomers on this webinar, but I'm sure there are a few Gen Xers like myself. We do things different. So obviously there are obligations to family, especially where we want peace, right? And so we have our in-laws, we have our siblings, and these are what we call black tax because they're family obligations. They are not necessarily visible or formal, they're emotional. And we find ourselves spending a lot of money trying to support these family members and extended family members and not realizing that that is eating into our savings. We always put our children and grandchildren first. So our children's school fees, things like weddings, buying a house, they are things that we are emotionally inclined to do because we want our children to do well. No parent wants to see, especially mothers, we don't want to see where our child is suffering or is sent out of class because they've not paid their school fees. We are also quite risk averse to investing, okay? So some of us, we know about investing, we know about we're financially literate, but we have concerns that perhaps that money will keep it as liquid, so as cash. And then we claim we have land somewhere. So whenever we need to move money, we can sell our property and money will come. And we already know that these are investments which are not so easy to convert to cash. So most people just prefer to have it, if we're invested, perhaps 30 days, 60 days investment so that we can quickly get it and we're not exposed to a time of it being illiquid and not having the money exactly when we need it. And there's also the late unstructured retirement plan. I am aware that a lot of people feel that their pension might be a black hole. They're concerned, is it going to yield me money is it going to be paid? What kind of pension plan do we have? Is it the government pension plans or is it a private pension plan? Most of us don't think too deeply about what would happen when we retire. And so what then happens is that we're even tempted to draw on it. So where there are government schemes for us to borrow from our pensions to pay for a mortgage, some of us are quite keen to do that. But then what happens when we retire? There's not much left. And so towards the end, we start rushing, trying to put money aside. And we don't have a very good post-retirement plan, which means some of us continue to work until, we're unable to do so. And then saving without a growth strategy. The older generation are savers. They do save, but it's not to grow. It's to save towards something, or save. Sometimes it's planned, sometimes it's unplanned, but it's not to grow. And this is something that needs to be talked about in terms of being intentional. And I'm sure Ada would go deeper into that. But what do both generations have in common? No visibility. How many of us track our spending? Because I only just started doing that. And it's amazing when you see the money going in and then leaving, you can see that we're almost spending every penny that we have. And yet it's an incredible awareness, and we suddenly become enlightened, and I must be spending too much. And then we're able to go through, what is it that I've been spending on? But when you have visibility, when you are honest with yourself, you can see it. But a lot of us feel like, don't want to talk about it, don't want to look at it. I just want to keep spending as far as I have the money. There is a lot of emotional spending. So we talked about the older generation, how we feel we need to provide for families. And then we have the younger generation who feel they need to keep up. They have these social comparisons. No clear plan. Sometimes spending is just by default. We're not thinking about it. The money is there, so we just move it along. We haven't thought about, if I'm spending this much, why am I spending it? Is it something that's going to be a recurring expense? Can I stop it? Can I end up using that money for something much better at a different time? We don't think, we just spend. And then comparison culture. We are shaped by what others expect of us. So if we are trying to become somebody who would be adored or validated, we tend to do things, we spend money as if it's a need and not a want. So these are cross-generational themes that really need to be addressed if we want to have enough at the end of the funnel. So what are those things that we need to do to shift our behaviors and how we spend? The first thing, pay yourself first. You don't leave the savings until the end of the funnel or until all of those things have come through. Take out what you feel you can put aside first, and then whatever is left will slot in. Sometimes it's easier to do it automatically. So you have standing orders, you have direct debits. And so those ones, before you, even as soon as your salary goes in, the money is out. It's not a case of, well, this month I think I'll skip. Do it intentionally. Just do it. You know it will be uncomfortable, but you know you gain the benefits. Name your obligations. Let us even say what it is we're spending on. What are those things? Track how you are spending on family. If you are spending on family, make sure you track it. Is it going to be every month? Is it going to be for 2 weeks? Is it going to be for 2 months? Your cousin that moved in, is she going to move out at some point? You need to have these discussions with yourself and with your spouse if need be, so that it is a form of commitment and as well as being held to account. And talk about money across generations. The way the young people see money is not exactly the same way we older people see money, but we can certainly merge in terms of the best way to handle money. So that's one of the reasons why we're having these conversations and why it is important that we know that our habits are generational. There are things that the older generation do that the younger people don't do, and the younger people need to know. So I guess the real question is, how much do I earn? What happens on its way down the funnel? So I think I'm going to hand over to Ada, who is going to take whatever is left at the end of that funnel so that you can decide how best to change your behavior and shape it accordingly so you have enough to grow and invest. So Ada, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lolita. Sorry, just a minute. Someone is having issues joining. I think there's a problem. So I'm just sending her details to Wendy so Wendy can add her directly.
Awesome. Okay.
I've sent that. Wendy, so I've sent it to you. Thank you very much, Lolita. That was really, really good. Again, you know, we're trying as much as possible to give these things bam, bam, bam. There's only so much you can do on a webinar, right? And we'll touch on that later, but I will share my slides now. Please let me know when you can see. Okay, can I actually share? Yes, share. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Oh,
okay,
no,
so
I said I'll let you know. Not yet.
Okay. Not yet?
No.
Oh dear, this thing should not fall my hand today. Okay, let me try again. Let's go back. Oh, okay, said something went wrong. Let's try again. It's not even allowing me to share. It's not allowing me to share.
Go out and come back in, maybe.
Okay, maybe I'll leave the meeting and come back. Okay.
Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good time. Please react if you're having a good time. I don't want to... Thank you.
Yeah, at least Joyce has put her camera on. And and Abigail,
thank
you. We can see your lovely faces. Ada, you're back.
Hi, hello. We're having a party.
Yeah, we're having a party while you left.
Sorry, guys. Let's see if this works now. Good?
Not yet.
Aish.
Oh, can you send the slide?
Yeah,
and then you can share it.
Okay, let me email it to you. You're gonna have to be doing quite a bit of clicking. Wendy, what's your email address?
Let me.
I think I have it. I have it.
Yeah, you should have it.
Okay.
I'll be sent to Ma'am Lolita. Maybe
it's fine.
Because
okay, I'll send to both of you.
Okay.
Okay, Lolita, should I send to your Accelerate Africa email?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. You know, I think I worry though because I've made changes to this version. So let me just save it. Okay, to email, drafts, inbox.
Yeah, no, I've not seen it yet.
Yeah. Okay, I've just sent it.
Okay, I'm looking out for it.
Okay. Awesome. Okay.
Still waiting for it.
Okay. So there's some animation later, so you just be pressing next. I try to make it as interactive as possible.
Okay, got it.
Awesome.
Oh, you sent it to Wendy as well?
Yes, just in case.
Okay. So Wendy, have you received it?
Yes. I can see it.
It's not letting me download it. I don't know why.
Wait.
Let me try one time.
Yeah, it's not letting me
Okay.
download it. Wendy, can you download it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Awesome. Okay.
All right. Um, okay.
Okay. On your behalf.
Wendy, you're muted.
Wendy, on mute. Ew. What's going on?
You bind every one of the enemy in Jesus' name. Any luck? Wendy, any luck? You're muted. Wendy, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Because I was trying to unmute. I'm trying to send it directly to you. I'm
To me?
Lolita. No.
Why? Just
Or should I just share from my end?
open and share because, yeah, open and share because for some reason I can't even open it as a file.
All right. But I
Yeah.
sent it to you just in case.
Oh, now I can open it. Okay, there we go. Took my one.
All right.
Okay, I've got it anyway.
So should I stop?
No, continue. Have you shared already?
Yeah. Can you see me? Can you see it starting?
Okay. Well, at least it's starting because my manager never even starts.
Okay. Share. Can you see it?
No, let me have a go. Let me have
It's
a go.
not letting me.
All right,
Ah.
let me try. Okay, final try. Okay.
You know what? Maybe it's because of the animations. Let me just cancel the animations. Maybe that's why.
It should work regardless.
Yeah, I should. And mine is saying presentation is starting,
Okay.
but it's not doing its usual thing. What is going on?
Is it working now?
Nope. It's not pulling up the
Okay. Let me
presentation.
try it. Can you see?
No.
Still not letting me. Can you try again?
You know what? I'm going to exit. Let me exit this meeting and come back again. I'll restart this browser.
I don't even think it's her browser because I can't share suddenly. So sorry, guys. It happens. Please bear with us. Thanks, Abisola. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Rezi. Thank you. Thanks, Uche. We'll get there.
She says the same thing.
Thanks, Gloria. The thing is, for me, it's grayed out, the share icon. It's grayed it out.
Can you try it again? And maybe I think maybe because we're trying at the same time.
Well, it's still grayed out.
Okay, I've joined from another browser. If it doesn't work, then I don't know.
It's gonna work. It's gonna work. So try again. Let me also
Okay.
leave.
Can you see my screen?
Something is happening. Something is happening. Yes, we can see your screen. Yay!
Well done, Wendy.
Oh, Wendy.
Well done.
Oh, it's me or it's my own
It's
screen?
Adele.
It's yours, hers, yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
Okay,
Wendy.
Thank you.
So you just need to choose the present your slide now.
Yeah. I have to show my screen anyway. Okay, guys.
Awesome.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. You just need to be on slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Satan is a liar.
It is.
All right, guys. Hello. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Woohoo!
Thank you for your patience. My name is Onanuga. Thank you so much for making our time to spend with myself and Lolita this evening. From what Lolita has already said, so on one hand, I'm so happy she said it, but on the other hand, I'm like, there's so much that we could even unpack just talking about that. But again, the nature of today's gathering and by virtue of it being virtual, there's only so much we can say in such a short period of time, which is why this is something that we definitely have to talk more about in an in-person gathering. But what I'm going to do is to build on the wonderful foundation that Lolita has already laid for us to now actually start having the conversation of what is the theory and the thesis between saving and investing. How should we start to think about it? And what is the theoretical view or thinking that we should have at the back of our minds when we approach the money that comes into our account at the end of the month, and how we use that to build wealth. So think of your money as water in a pipe. Money flows in, and the job is to move all the way through to wealth. So one of the myths that I want to do away with today is the idea that you have to have wealth only comes from having a lot of money at a certain point in time, as opposed to wealth being a mindset of responsibility towards the money that you have. Because the truth of the matter is, if you cannot manage 100,000 well, you will not be able to manage 1 million well, and you will not be able to manage 10 million well. And so, by the grace of God, everybody in this chat, you are here because making money and keeping money and making money work for you is something that is very important to you. And my hope and prayer and expectation is that each and every one of you will be people that move massive amounts of money. And the job of Lolita and I today is to start to give you the tools that you will need so that that becomes an actuality because of the attitude you have towards money. So Lolita already cleared the blockages. We talked about emotional spending, talked about black tax without boundaries, money guilt and fear, and those mental and emotional habits that clog the pipe and become holes in the pipe through which money leaks. Now, we understand, we're not saying say no to everybody with all abandon. We're not saying, oh, it's all my, we understand that we are people who are also generous. Having said that, generosity needs to happen with constraints and with guardrails so that you understand that you have to be generous to yourself. There's a reason why the Bible says, or why Jesus tells us that we should love others as we love ourselves. The loving has to show in the way we treat ourselves before it shows in the way that we treat other people. So my job now, the money is flowing as it should. And so where does it go now that those blockages have been removed, and how does it actually get to the stage of wealth? That's what we'll talk about today. So where the money goes from here. Now, for the sake of today's discourse, I have broken it down into 4 stages. First stage is you receive the money. The money comes in as your salary from your 9 to 5. If you're someone in a 9 to 5, your salary from your business, if you're a business owner, your salary from your side income. So that could be already investments that you have. It could be, other businesses that you have in addition to being somebody that has a side, that has a 9 to 5. Wherever the income comes from, you shall receive it. That's the first stage. Okay, you've gotten the money, it's sitting in your various accounts. What comes next? You budget. Now, budgeting is not a suggestion. You need to have clarity on what is happening with the money when it comes. And you can't have that clarity before the money comes. You have to have that clarity. Sorry, you can't have that clarity after the money comes. You need to have the clarity before the money comes so that you start to put structures and systems in place that make sure with minimal human intervention from you, it is going to where it needs to go. What does this look like? Direct debit. What is a direct debit? You can do it on your banking app. You don't even have to go to a banking hall. You set up a standing instruction that on whatever day of the month that your money comes into your account, it goes straight into some kind of investment account now, or some kind of savings account. So that's an example. Then you have assessed your needs for the month. You know how much you need for your upkeep. You know how much you need for transport. You know how much you need for feeding. That is a set number. And so you set that number aside. The rest goes to your savings and investments. So savings and investments is not what is left over. Savings and investments is what is distributed first. So savings and investments, and I'll talk about this in detail later, but there is a difference, so to speak, at least the way I view it, between what you're saving and what you're investing. And what is the difference? Simply a function of time. So saving, okay, I think I'm preempting myself, but just let's stick here with now. Then finally, the thinking is over time, as you are consistent in saving and investing, that consistency over time compounds into financial freedom. Okay, so like I said before, budgeting is how you direct the flow. It's not a restriction. It's a decision made in advance about where each naira goes before it has a chance to wander off. It is important for us to understand that budgeting means we decide beforehand how much goes into each bucket, so that when the money does come, you're not thinking, you're not, strategizing. It's already done. It's clear, and it goes and it does what it's supposed to do. So you give every naira a job, every single penny. You start with the total number that comes in at the end of the month, and then you work back from that. Every penny needs to be assigned a responsibility. Number 2, you split before you send. So like I said, you decide the allocation upfront. It is not what is left over, and it is not something to be treated casually, please. And then you pay yourself. So the way to look at saving and investing is paying your future self first. It is loving yourself. It is taking care of yourself, right? It's self-care. It's like going to the spa, I dare say. So pay your future first. And so this graphical representation, your income meets your needs, then you save, and then you invest, right? So those are the 3 buckets that it's going to. Now, before we move on, I want us to discuss a concept of human capital versus financial capital. And this builds on what Lolita talked about when she talked about the money attitudes of the younger generation versus the older generation. So knowing where you are in the human capital versus financial capital sphere gives you, there is theoretical evidence that shows that, there's theories, and to be honest, it is backed up by social experiments, that it shows that it will help you figure out where you are in your life by your age and by your stage, and you can therefore make saving and investing decisions accordingly. And I'll go into that in detail. So in your early career, if maybe you have, let's say, I don't know, maybe 10, maybe between 0 to 10, 15 years of experience. One could argue that's early to mid-career. Let's assume you come out of school at, say, 21. Retirement age is 60. So let's say you work for 40 years. 20 is the middle point. So let's say early is like maybe like 0 to 7 to 8. You are the assets. Now, this is completely, actually, no, you know what? I spoke about this at a webinar earlier today. Let me not conflict the two. So let's focus. At this point, your human capital is very, very high. What do we define as human capital? Your energy, your skills, your ability to learn, and your ability to recover from mistakes because you have a lot of time. But here, your financial capital is still small. So investing in yourself pays the most because there is more time ahead of you, theoretically speaking, for you to reap the gains and the rewards of investing in yourself. But later in your career, your money becomes, or your financial capital becomes the higher assets. Your human capital starts to fall because the earning years ahead of you start to shrink. And so that's why in that stage of your life, your financial capital has to have gotten to the point where it can carry you through your retirement and your older years. So you see that the two trade places over time, and it's graphically represented over here. So like I said, expectation is that you start your career in your 20s, you end your career in your 60s, 40s, the mid stage. And so you want to have this at the back of your mind as you're thinking about how you're going to allocate your investments across the various investments, assets, vehicles, and opportunities. And I'll touch on that in the future slides. So let's go deeper into saving and investing. What do? They have, so to speak, a similar but not the same job. And I'll explain that in detail. So what is saving? Saving is your cushion for today, right? So it's your cash that you have, that is cash or near cash, and it represents safety and liquidity. So I'm sure you've heard things like emergency funds. It's money that you have fixed in some kind of asset, but should you need it in the case of an emergency, you can quickly convert it to cash, right? So it protects you. The value stays put, but the thing is you're paying for that flexibility in the form of forfeited interest or gains that you could have made if you had invested it in a less liquid asset. So because of that, it is low risk and it is low return. Please, if you have any questions, you can start popping it in the chat right now so that you don't lose track of them. And Wendy can then, collate those, and we can talk about that at the end of this session. On the other hand, what is investing? Investing is your engine for tomorrow. So those are growth assets, money that works and multiplies. Those are assets that you perhaps want to hold to term, or hold to term means hold for maturity. So we're talking decades here. We're not talking months or maybe a few years. And this is money that you leave and you don't think about. You can track it, but the expectation is you don't really expect to be actively trading on those funds over time. You just leave it to make money while you're sleeping. There is some element of more risk, but the focus is on your reward and on creating value for yourself. And you will understand why these two, we need to have an understanding of these two, because this is also related to where you are in the human capital versus financial capital stage of your earning life. So the expectation when you combine human capital and financial capital with how we have spoken about saving and investing, you then see that your appetite for risk should change as you age. Time is what makes risk more affordable. Why? If you lose money at 25, you still have, in theory, 35 more years to recover, to make more money, and to recoup what you have lost. If you lose money at 56, it's a whole other story. And it's very important to have this at the back of my mind, because in the job I serve as executive director for a real estate finance company, and a lot of our clients are approaching retirement, and you see them being very antsy and wanting extra assurance that the investment that they are making will not just, they're not even so much bothered about the return. Yes, they want a return. More so, they want to be able to protect what they have invested. Why? Because they're about to retire. If that money goes, they can't apply for a job to remake that money. So it's very important that you have that at the back of your mind. So, and that's what I've explained it. I've explained these points here. So what this graph shows is an illustration of how you want to combine your saving investment or safer assets growth assets mix as you age. Like I said, your growth assets, so your equities, and again, in subsequent slides, I'll talk about what assets fall where. But in the more risky assets, you want to invest more in those assets when you are younger. But then as you age, you want to invest more in the safe assets, right? Because again, like I've said, the time for you to be able to recoup is not much. So again, you have that at the back of your mind. It's very critical when you're making investment decisions. So let's now go into the universe of asset classes. Now, this is purely for illustrative purposes, and I've only mentioned a few. There is a much wider universe of investable assets, but this is just to get us thinking. Now, this spectrum starts from lower risk and ends at higher risk. So low risk, low return, high risk, high return. Now, your safe or defensive instruments, here you want to preserve your capital. You don't want to make a loss. You want to have some kind of steady source of income, and you want to be able to have it to be high liquidity. What does that mean? If it is not cash, the speed at which you can convert it to cash is very, very, very fast. So you have in this place cash and its equivalent. So investments in savings accounts, investments in money market funds, treasury bills, fixed deposits, other things like call accounts, mutual funds, things of that nature. Then government instruments, federal government of Nigeria bonds, or if you have the ability to invest in other countries of the world, like in the West, Fed instruments in the US, treasury bills, govies in the UK, and then investment grade corporate bonds. So what are investment grade corporate bonds? Investment grade corporate bonds are bonds from companies. So depending on how aware you are of the debt capital markets, companies like Dangote, so I don't know if some of you have heard of Dangote's IPO. Now, an IPO is for equity. So based on what we are talking about, that would be a different asset class, which I'll get to shortly. But Dangote does things frequently that we call commercial papers or bonds. Now, investment grade means that the instrument is investment grade. That's BBB plus or above. Now, I'm getting a bit technical, but I want you guys to understand. What that means is that a third party body has looked at the accounts of the company, has looked at the operations of the company, and has concluded that this investment is very, very safe and is worth investing. So those kinds of investments are termed safe and defensive because they are investment grade, i.e. BBB plus or above. So BBB plus to AAA plus, and they are, and so because of that, we expect to recoup both our investments plus a return or interest for what we have invested in. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have growth instruments. So these ones, this is where you really want to start seeing appreciation in the value of your investment. However, what comes with this is some element of higher risk. And this is where you really give yourself the space and capacity to make a lot of money. Now, what falls under here? Equity. So that's stocks of local entities, stocks above, index funds of equities, right? Real estate for appreciation. I don't know how many people have heard of Orange Island. There's been a publication recently in the BBC that the Orange Island properties are sinking by 13 centimeters every year. Now, the owners of Orange Island have come out to refute that claim and say that it is not true. Orange Island, if you bought a plot of land, I did some research, if you bought a plot of land there, let's say, I want to say like 15, 20 years ago, you probably paid about 55 million. Now, that piece of land you buy for around 260 to 300 million. So you can see the huge capital appreciation. Now, if you invested it in 2015 and then you were touching it, and you say, no, I want to leave in 2016, what you have left behind is a huge capital appreciation if you had waited. But one could also argue that there is risk because you have this kind of news coming out. That's a huge amount of money to lose that way. So I use that as an example to illustrate both the risky nature of it, but the high return nature of it as well. Another thing to think about is your business. Your business is a high risk, high return venture. And that's why it is important. Number one, if you're a business owner, you need to make sure that if you are making revenue, not profit, revenue, that you are paying yourself a salary. Because what does that do for you? Your salary, because if you treat yourself as an investment portfolio, the bulk of your wealth is in your business. You need to diversify away from that by investing in safer defensive assets. So how much of that income or how much of that salary that you're paying yourself are you investing in these kinds of instruments? So if there is an issue with the business, you are not completely gone. You are giving yourself the comfort and cushion of having some kind of safe investment because you have assessed yourself from a complete portfolio view and you understand that you need to have something more in safer instruments. Something to think about. High yield and emerging market debt. I won't go into that too much. Crypto is, a lot of people are doing crypto trading. It's working for some people, it's not working for some people. One thing, there's a guy called Scott Galloway that I listen to quite a bit. He's a millionaire, I think multi-millionaire in the US. He says, and I subscribe to that point of view, diversify. See, wealth is not only money, wealth is also being able to sleep at night. If your whole portfolio is in crypto and your heart is cutting, what does it profit a man, my dear sister? So my encouragement is if you have some kind of investment in crypto, diversify, have something that is in safer instruments or less risky instruments. Now we have a middle, and I've called it the middle, and some blend of both, right? So you can have income producing real estate. So for example, you have real estate that is actually giving you a monthly salary, so monthly earning in the form of income. That's a nice blend. You have shares, but those shares are in blue chip companies or very strong companies or companies whose corporate issuances or corporate bonds are investment grade. That is a way of meeting in the middle. So you have some element of safety in the kind of entities that you've invested in, but you're also investing in more maybe high yield, riskier investments so that you give yourself the opportunity to expose yourself to ability to earn more money. Now, guys, if I am I'm not seeing the chat, so I can't see. If there is anything, I know I may be a bit technical. If there is anything I am saying that you don't understand, please feel free to ask in the comments. I'm very happy to explain. Now, commodities. How many of us had mothers that bought gold? Everything is gold. Buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. Well, yes, buy gold, right? But what I find happens a lot is that gold is then sold usually when there is an urgent need. And because what you call a fire sale, what tends to happen is that you may not actually sell it at its proper value because you need the cash urgently. So again, invest in gold, yes, but also look at your investments within the universe of investable assets. Treat yourself as a portfolio. So have some in gold, some in safer assets, and maybe even some in more risky assets, but look at it as a diversified blend of both. So remember, safe is relative to your time horizon and currency. Equities can be risky over 1 year, but they're arguably safer over 30. I don't know what it is for the Nigerian Stock Exchange, but I know if you look at maybe the FTSE or the NASDAQ, you will see over time it grows. So that's why the argument is for if you keep looking at it periodically, so you do what we call market timing or holding some assets for trading. It's good to have somebody, if that is the bulk of your investments, it's not really the right way to look at things. Okay, so I've talked a lot about some technical things. Let's go back to the meat of today. Look, the thing is doing this thing over time, consistently, month in, month out, show up with the same money, rinse and repeat. Over time, years, not weeks, not months, allow it to do the work. What happens is that you give the returns the time. So you give yourself time to compound, and the money you are making makes money for you. So you give yourself the time to make money with the income with the interest that you are already making on some of these instruments. Wealth isn't one big move. It is money moving the same way again and again until time and compounding do the heavy lifting. Now, I was thinking of whether or not, so I'm sure many of you have seen these illustrations of if you invest 100 today and you leave it for 20 years, it will become 2 million. Yes, it becomes 2 million 1 day at a time, day in, day out, month in, month out. So let's look at the whole flow of what we have discussed today. I know our time is fast spent. Oh, wow. Time is fast spent. We've unblocked. Lolita has helped us to unblock the emotional and mental clogs. We see that we receive, the money comes in, we direct every naira via budgeting, we save and invest for safety and growth, and that is how our wealth grows, with consistency and time, day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out. You master this and your money compounds and creates wealth for you. So that's it from my end. Do we have any questions at this point?
Someone asked
Let me
if you
check
can
that.
get the slides after the webinar.
Oh, so we have hands up. Oh, Lolita, how do you feel about that? Are you okay with that? Oh, thank you guys. That's very kind. I hope that was useful. Lolita, are you okay? What do you think about sharing slides?
Yes. Well, we'll share the recording, that's for sure. So
Okay,
the
okay.
recording will have the slides.
Okay, happy. Okay. Gira Mahoros. I'm so
Hi,
sorry
you
if
can call me Joy. Yeah, I go by Joy.
Joy.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
awesome. Joy.
Yeah, thank
Your hand is
yeah,
up. Please go ahead.
yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Joy and I'm an undergrad student. Thank you so much for this webinar. I'm learning a lot. So my quick question is for people who struggle to stick with budgeting, do you have any tools or like apps that you would recommend for someone that just like starting out? Yeah, thank you.
So not necessarily an app, but what I would recommend is a strategy.
Mhm.
I don't know, what part of the world are you in, Joy?
I'm US.
Or
I
in
mean,
the-
America,
oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. Mhm.
So what I would recommend for you is to do something called a standing order or direct debit. What that means is that in the middle of the month, you send an instruction to your bank that at a certain day of the month, they should pay a certain amount of money to a certain place.
Mhm.
So what you can do is you can find investment vehicles where you are, a mutual fund. It's very easy. I'm sure your bank will probably give that to you, although I wouldn't recommend bank rates. They tend not to
Yeah.
be great. You will get better rates from specialist boutiques, so you
Yeah.
can do that research. But you create an investment account first with those individuals. You agree the products that they have, investable products, whatever funds that they have available that you want to invest in. You create that account, and then you go to your bank and say, on this date of every month, I want you to debit my account with you of this amount, and credit my account with you of this amount. So that way, before the money even stays, and I would recommend you making the date of the direct debits the day you get paid,
Yes.
or max a day after, so that before the money stays in your account for long, you've already been debited.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't even touch it if you want, and you don't have to think about it, and it's working for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So, but how about like the daily spending? You know, let's say this is grocery stores, you know, I'm buying foods and stuff because I need to have a budget. Yeah.
So this is what I think. Can I be honest? Because I'll be honest, Joy. Can I tell you my weakness? And Lolita knows this. My weakness is clothes. Hi. I have a clothing issue. My problem is not, you people are laughing at me in the chat. God will show you. God will judge all of you. My weakness is clothing. So this is what I do, right? I literally, the only thing left in my account, like a day or two after I get paid, is money I have to manage till the end of the month. If the money finishes, I will drink water, or as we say in my village, I drink Gary, and I'll be doing face me, I face you. So I would recommend that same approach for you, my dear sister. Get everything out, and sometimes it's good for you to drink the Gary, as we call it here, because next time when you now want to buy that thing, you remember, the last time I spent this thing, I didn't like the way it felt, so let me not do it again. So sometimes you have to manufacture the constraints for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And feel the pain of those constraints, and then that helps to force the right behavior. That's what has helped for me. Lolita, do you have anything to add here?
It's exactly the same issue that I have. And I think it's a very psychological thing to convert wants to need. So you have to think about how is this a need? Is this something I need right now? And it's very much brain power. But you can reward yourself when, like Ada says, you've made an investment, you've had some form of return. You can decide to reward yourself for doing well.
That reward
But
should not be too much. The reward should
Yeah,
not be the whole interest.
no, don't take the whole thing. But at least you know that you have now control. I think it's gaining control of your mindset and being able to judge the right time to spend on things that just give you short-term pleasure, because after a while those clothes they get old, they you want to give them out. So but someone said food exploration. I found that really intriguing. I mean, like, you spoil yourself with food exploration. It's very it's a lot to do with mindset.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think one more thing I'll add is, to the extent that you can introduce manufacture as much friction as possible, and ask yourself, what need emotionally is this spending going to do for me? Pause. Why am I really buying this thing? Is it because it makes me feel better? Okay, makes me feel better about what? What do I need to feel better about? Because more often than not, we use that spending as a way to mask or to escape a certain reality or to soothe ourselves. So sometimes you need to ask yourself, what am I trying to escape or to paper over, to not talk about by spending this money? And more often, and also another thing to do is, there's something I watched, I heard Ramsey, the savings guy in the US say, his daughter said that depending on the amount of money, she forces herself to wait. So if I still want to do this in a week, okay. If I still want to do this in a week, 2 weeks, okay. But if this is something that is just satisfying or satisficing a need, then is the expectation, or what will most likely happen is that 2-3 days from now, I'm not really going to want to spend that money. And it has happened to me many times. I bought an outfit and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, why did I actually buy this thing? So yeah. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I hope that helps. Thank you. Okay, Abisola, your hand is up next. Please.
She has been waiting.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay,
Good
so
evening.
yeah, my question is all about the aspect of mutual funds, and then I've been hearing about it for the longest of time, but I don't know which one should one invest in, because over time, for somebody like me, aside from the fact that I earn, then I still have maybe commissions and all that, and we all have a habit. I think my own bad habit is trying to make sure that my children looks good all the time because they are girls. So it's mostly those are the things that actually take most of my money. But then I'm looking at, okay, future investment for them and for me as a person. And I also want to talk about the part whereby you can also increase your money on the other side. Okay, for somebody like me now, I'm into shortlet. So I do more of consultations and all that for people on the side. And then I'm looking to scale up and see how I can also pay myself. And it's been very hard for me to scale out on that aspect, to say, okay, fine. If I do, let's say I do 7 consultations within a month, and I needed to get 1 or 2 tools to improve my capability on that part. How do I look at it and say, I want to invest and I still want to pay myself, being that you're a young mom, I'm below 35, so, but then you want to do everything faster and then still get the best out of it along the line. So sometimes it's quite confusing, but then I just want to get clarity on what's recommended to do that aspect.
Okay, so if I understand your question, 2 questions. 1, where would be the best place to start for mutual funds? That's 1. 2, how can you scale up your own business so that you are paying yourself a salary, but the business is also growing? Is that correct? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so your first question on mutual funds, I can tell you the mutual funds I invest in. So Bamboo, I don't know if you have the Bamboo. Do you know about the Bamboo app?
Yes, I know about it, but to operate it sometimes, I really don't get it. So
Really?
Yeah, I think that's my major problem, because I don't.
Lolita, this is a very, very
naira and then you invest in dollars or something.
We may actually, that's it. Thank you for that feedback, Abisola. Maybe
Yes.
something to consider, Lolita, is to reach out to them to see if they if they're willing to give some kind of,
Yes.
and we're not marketing, we're not promising them anything, but it may be something that we want to explore. So that's when I can use another example. So another one I use is a company called RMB Asset Management. So the truth of the matter is any asset management company will have mutual fund products available for you. Because what's a mutual fund? It's just a mishmash of different types of fixed income and money markets funds. So fixed income, treasury bills, FGN bonds, equities from the Nigerian Stock Exchange, maybe throw in there some corporate bonds, mix it all together, then you buy, like, they make it like a pie, and then you buy 1 unit or you buy 2 units. That's pretty much what a mutual fund is, right? So any asset management company would be able to do that for you. So if you just do research, Google it, what you may want to ask for you to be able to make a decision. One, what they're not going to guarantee you a rate, but you can ask them what has been the ballpark performance of your portfolio. And then you maybe pick 3 or 4 and compare, and then invest in the one that has had the highest rates. But you also need to ask, though, is the rates higher because they are investing in riskier assets? So you just want to have a balance of both, right? So that's how I would advise you approach mutual funds. Pick 3 or 4, do some research on them. Just literally Google asset management company or mutual fund products. A lot of people are providing that product. And then you go in there, you figure out how to invest. You just call someone, you get an account officer, they open. It's usually very quick. So that's the mutual fund question. On the question on how to scale your business, the truth of the matter is I wouldn't really be able to answer that question in full here because there's a lot of context I would need around your specific situation, right? But I can give you principles to keep in mind. One, do you have accounts for your business, even if they're rudimentary? 2,
Yeah.
you have accounts. Wonderful. Is it profitable?
I don't get that.
Is it profitable? Are you turning a profit? Are you making more than you're spending?
No.
For the business?
No.
Okay. Then to what? How much of losses are you making in the business? Those are some of the things I would want to know. Why are you making losses? Are there places where you're spending where you could save? How are you generating leads, right? So it's beyond the scope of this business. That's something I would need to speak to you one-on-one. What you can do is please drop my email address, info@onanuga.com. You can drop me a line and we can take it off now. But I can't actually answer that question the way it deserves in this forum. But if you drop me a line, we can take it up after.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Okay.
Sorry, the next person is supposed to be Adaku, but she didn't have her hands raised.
Oh, okay.
So her question is for the Gen X in Nigeria who want to catch up on savings/retirement. What tools do you recommend?
Lolita.
Catching up. Oh God, it's really for someone from for me. I look at short-term investments that they may have a little bit of risk, and it has to be funds that you can keep aside. Like recently, I've invested in notes. Ada, you referenced this not Banana Island, Orange Island. There was a time that there was a speculative. There were notes, investment notes that were for sale. And all it is an investment that appreciated with the value of the property. So as you mentioned, they had started dredging close to Orange Island, not even Orange Island itself. So I look at these kind of opportunities where in a year I can see the type of returns that I get. And these are the things, because you then start to then become less risque. So whatever investments you can turn over in a short term, you can then move it to a safe long-term portfolio. And Ada mentioned mutual funds as well. So you can decide to go for something that is relatively safe, where there's more safer investments than risky investments. Because at our age now, we're not trying to make, take risks. We're trying to have a flow and have some certainty attached to our investment. So as a Gen X, that is what I do. And am I doing it right?
I think I love the points you made about leveraging riskier investments and then exiting a little bit so that you can put it in less risky investments. So that way you have some peace at night, right?
Yeah.
But you're also giving yourself the opportunity to benefit on an upside from a capital appreciation. Now, what I would say to Adaku is, Adaku, it's not a catch-up thing. You're not trying to catch up, right? Hold on. It's Gen.
X.
Sorry, I confused Gen X and Gen Z.
No, they're not the same. They're not the same.
Okay, yes. Oh, sorry.
Gen X is, if we're here,
Gen X.
okay, Gen X is catch up.
Oh,
catch up.
yeah. Okay, I understand the question now. So the truth of the matter is that it depends on what range of the Gen X you fall under, right? And how much.
Old mama range.
Okay. So this is what I think for you, right? I would be very, very focused on accumulating as much capital as I can. I think to the extent that you can make as much money as you can right now, that's what I would focus on. I would say give yourself a number. When you hit that number that gives you some level of safety, you can then start thinking of, okay, maybe you want to take some more risky moves. But I think what is most important for you right now is preservation of capital. I wouldn't want a situation where you are in such a hurry to catch up that you lose money and you're in a deeper hole. So I like what Lolita said about giving yourself exposure to some degree for capital gains, but it has to be very structured. Your thinking has to be clear. You need to have clear limits for yourself, and you have to honor those limits, right? So if you say, once I get to this number, I'm not doing again, I exit. Don't be the ones that, it went up to 10 today, maybe it's 12 tomorrow. Maybe it'll be 15 tomorrow. Then you wake up, it has gone down to 2, and you have to do bing. And then God forbid you have heart attack, and the money that you have made, you have to pay for hospital bill. We reject this in Jesus' name. So I think the focus will just be, as much as possible, make as much as you can, but be very, very militant about deploying those things to safe or near safe as possible, so that you continue to build a cushion for yourself. That's what I would recommend. Yeah.
Felicia should be next. Then Victoria's question. Felicia, she's still here. Oh,
hello, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm so excited to be part of this webinar because I was able to realize some things, especially in terms of saving. I have this problem, like when she said she has a problem with clothes. I think your own problem is not as bigger as mine, because I sell clothes, so I'm struggling to deal with it, and sometimes I use my profit to buy myself clothes. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to handle it. Like, okay, this let me just have this mindset. I don't know how to control that, because I will end up using my profit and then get myself clothes. Although if I wear the clothes, I also have visibility, and people ask me, where do you get this? Where do you get? I'm not telling I sell the clothes. So sometimes I feel happy, but most time I only use those clothes like twice or 3 times. I'm no longer using it, so it became liability for me. And I'm just trying to kill that habit of, okay, using my own profit to start buying myself clothes that I'll just use. Like she said, maybe you're just trying to just pass time, or maybe you're just trying to be fulfilled. Okay, yes, I bought this, because the urge will come as if you didn't buy it now, you cannot buy it. And unfortunately, tomorrow a beautiful one will now come out again. You'll just be confused, and it's something I'm dealing with seriously in my business, and I need help.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing, Felicia. I can relate. About I think 6-7 years ago, I started a fashion business. I was selling headbands. Very soon, I started buying the headbands for myself. In my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm buying it to sell. But really and truly, I was buying it for myself. And no need to tell you what happened to that wonderful business. So I do feel your pain. Now, what would I recommend, right? I think that there is a casual nature with which you are approaching your business that needs to stop for you to change. You need to respect the business. Do you have a business account, or is it still in your personal account?
No, I have a business account that I
Okay.
use.
Do you file, do you do your accounts? Do you do like financials for your business? Do you check your numbers at the end of the month?
Yes, I do. And I'll end
Okay.
up looking at my capital that I've already consumed, like sometimes 70%. And what did I use it for? I buy clothes.
Okay. And of the 70% of the capital that you have in this business, how much of it is of the 70% of the capital that you used to buy clothes, how much of that 70% came back to you as revenue with additional with profits? How much made money for you?
Sometimes, let's say 30%.
So the 40% is what you wear for 2-3 times, and you just
And really affecting my business. Not that I don't sell. Yes, I
Yeah.
sell, but how to manage the profit is what is my problem.
Okay. So again, right, Felicia, I do think that it is beyond the scope of this class because I need to get the specifics. Lolita, what do you think?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Felicia, it's beyond, so there are financial tools, but the mindset in which you're approaching your business has to be the focus. There's a lot that you need to focus on within yourself to think about why you are buying clothes with your profits, because that's what you need for the business to run. And it seems somehow there is an imbalance between your needs and the needs of the business. And so they are both clashing, they can't work. If you have a business, in order for it to thrive, you need to let it breathe. You need to be disciplined. So there needs to be a mindset shift in terms of your discipline and how you manage the business and how you also manage that psychological need to buy clothes. And sometimes it is really ill-advised. I'm not suggesting that you change your business, but sometimes it's ill-advised for someone who's an alcoholic to sell drinks, because it is even twice as hard for that person to resist the temptation to drink their stock. So you have to really reflect on how you see the business and how you see the weakness that you currently have, which needs to be addressed for you to move to the next level, which is the part where Ada is advising you on how to manage your funds. But without that, you're just going to keep going in circles.
Yeah, I agree completely with Lolita Felicia. I think it's a mindset thing, and it's an investigation of, again, what validation, what hole are those clothes trying to fill for you emotionally or mentally before we now start talking about how it's affecting the business. So that would be my advice. I do think it might be worth perhaps you, Lolita, what do you think about having a one-on-one, like maybe like another kind of session with her?
Yeah, I think it would be good. Even I'm sure she's not the only one. She could be even speaking for a lot of people here.
That's true.
There's going to be a feedback form anyway to ask everyone to put areas that they want to talk about, they want to deep dive into. And I think debt is definitely one of them. And this emotional spending is one of them. There's a whole list of them. And so if there's more than just one person, Felicia is being very brave and authentic in herself. There are a lot of people that she's speaking up for, and I feel like it is a certain area that we need to look at, because already you relate to her story, I relate to her story, and so it can't be just her and just us.
Okay.
Okay. Then the next question is Victoria's. Madam Ada, you're still sharing your screen.
Oh dear, sorry.
Okay, then the next person is Victoria. Her question is very similar to the first one, which is second one, what mutual funds would you recommend in the Nigerian money market space? So do
Well,
you
yeah, I
still
think
want
I've
to
addressed that one. I mean, it depends. I can't recommend because everybody's spending, everybody's investing goals, everybody's saving goals is different. So what might work for someone may not work for another. What I would encourage is for you to get clear on what your saving and your investing goals are, and then understand what kind of mutual fund would work best for you. Is it one that has more products in maybe growth versus safe? Is it one that makes it easier for you to liquidate versus harder for you to liquidate? So I can't do a blanket recommendation. It just has to be with the knowledge that you've gained here. You do some research and then find which one that works for you. But start with something. Just start with the first one. See how it works. If it doesn't work, move to another one. You get clearer on what works for you the more you do it.
Thank you for that. The next question we have is from Ademide. So what would you advise as a good amount to pay yourself?
That's a difficult question to answer again. It depends on the specifics. How much do you have a minimum viable product? What are you selling? Is there a proven market? Is there a proof of concept? Are you making recurrent revenue? What has been the flow of your revenue? What has been the ceiling of your revenue? Where is your business going? Who are your off-takers or who are your clients? What is the assurance you have that this level of income will be coming at the end of every month? So there are certain questions that you ask yourself first to even ask yourself whether you should pay. And then when you're able to answer those questions, you then say, okay, how much should you be paying? So you kind of need to be clear about what's going on in your business before you know if it is time for you to start paying yourself a salary. Yeah, so it depends on the specifics of your business.
Okay, the next question is Atinuke. She asked, I would like to ask about debts and debt management. How do we sort out finances in the
This
face
is
of...
another masterclass.
I have personally made wrong financial decisions in the past that is still affecting my whole financial plan. Any advice on how to plan that out? I try to also use a budgeting app. I am in Nigeria, but charges are not budget friendly. What advice will you give regarding budgeting as well?
Okay, so it depends. So let's start with the first question, which is debt. This is what I would recommend. Be honest with yourself. And please, I'll raise my hand up. I had to do this with myself this month because my clothes spending had gotten up. So you can see, even people that are opening their mouth to talk, we are plenty in this WhatsApp group. Lolita is laughing. I went through my bank statements. I got out Excel. I wrote the name. I wrote the amount. For the ones that have interest rates, I wrote the interest rate. You start with the most expensive one first. Which one has the highest interest rate? You pay that off first. You know how much you're making every month. You allocate a portion to debt management, right? The portion should pay you. You have to pay yourself. See, I'm not doing what I've not done to myself. I'm doing it now. Forget this lipstick and pomade that you're seeing on my face. I had to flog myself for my bad behavior. So it has to pain me. So one cloth, I've been praying to God, please, by September, let it still be available so that I have the money to buy it. If not, nothing for me. So you start by paying off the most expensive one first. You allocate a certain amount from your income, right? Once you have finished, you find a mutual fund, go to your banking app, set up direct debits. The day after your money comes, it goes straight. See, there's a feeling you get when you log into your mutual fund app and you see the money that was 2K has become 2K5. There's a feeling, there's a spirit that it does into your heart that you make you feel good. So, yes, it does something to your insides. It makes you feel, you walk with confidence. Your shoulder pad is high. It's a good, very nice feeling. I want that for everybody here. So once you have paid off your debts, immediately you start to do direct debits. So you will see the debits will come, you will not even know, but you will get the credits alert to the mutual fund and it starts to grow. And from mutual fund, you can go into other things. You can even create different mutual funds and start to save money for other investments. So for example, if you want to make a down payment on a plot of land, you are then saying, oh, this money that was in mutual fund, let me move it here. Let me move some parts of it here. So you are now diversifying what? Your portfolio. So that's what I would recommend. Create a list, pay off the most painful ones first. I don't believe in budgeting apps. So personally, I wouldn't recommend you using budgeting apps. I would just recommend you debiting your account and putting it in something that will make money for you. That's what I would say.
Oh, okay. Mary said she has a question, but she hasn't dropped the question, so we'll just move to Rezi. Rezi, please, can you ask your question?
Rezi, I love your name, Rezi Papaya.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to Madam Lolita, Ada, and Wendy. This has been so insightful. So my context is I'm an older millennial. Certain things I only realized them later, particularly that human capital limitation that my time is not infinite. So that would be the context I'm asking my question from. So what do you do about maybe decision fatigue of you have multiple places you call home? So I'm based in Nigeria, but I've got 2 other countries that are home, and I'm Nigerian by marriage. How do you balance that innate African fear of home is where I actually come from? Should I invest there? Should I invest in Nigeria? Should I invest in another place where I've worked for a long time? I don't know if there's an answer to that, but yeah.
Lolita, you are the international mama, so I will leave this one for you.
So, that's a tough one, and you call them all home. But realistically, I know there's one place that is more home than the others, right? You still have to do an assessment of safety, of returns, of where you see your true home. It's an emotional decision that has to become a financial decision. Because I feel like a wide range of investments in different countries can help you. It can actually help you to minimize risks in one particular country. But I feel that where you see yourself retire, I don't know how old you are, but I think when you think about the future 10 years down the line, if you're my age, you will start to invest, you start to work towards where you feel you're going to go home and retire, or where you feel that you're going to put your roots down and this is where I'm going to stay. So I think it's a question that you need to ask yourself. Where am I in my life? Am I now winding down, or am I still very much agile and I want to be able to make the most of the options that I have? So I can invest a little here, invest in this country, but you need to make sure that there would be the one that is the strongest. I feel like places where you can, I even like Forex. I invest in Forex as well, just as a way of hedging the growth of the value of currency versus other currencies. But I think sometimes they're a bit edgy and you have to really keep your eyes on the price and you have to know how it's moving. So are you the type of person that can watch your investment that closely? Can you play around with, I use Robinhood as well, which is an app where you can buy certain shares from blue chip companies, and then you just use it to test which ones are growing faster, but you use small amounts of money. So it gives you kind of like a playing field to understand which ones you can put a bit more in. So it's a case of where do you see as home? And to be fair, Ada, I think investments can be international. It doesn't have to be localized in the way that we see it. So that's one of the foreign things I do, just because is foreign currency. It's a bit more in terms of return. I can make a bit more money, but they are very small amounts I use. I don't put money that I think I know I can lose. So that's what I do really. But I don't know, how old are you, Razi? I mean, what are you, a Gen X or a Gen Z?
38.
Okay, so you're millennial.
Time?
You're millennial. You guys are the ones.
Welcome. I'm 37, so
yeah, you guys are
in each other's. Yeah, so I think, Rezi, another thing I'll add to what Lolita has said, and Lolita touched on it in the beginning. This money, you kind of have to not be emotional about this thing. Now, I think a way for you, if you feel like, oh, you want to allocate some amount, I would say, what are those countries? What are they well known for? How can you find a way to invest in those countries in such a way that if you look at all of your assets as a portfolio, you are also investing in those countries in a way that is making above average returns for you. So let's say you want to get, let's say one of the, I think you mentioned the US, is that correct?
So my dilemma is they're all African countries.
They're all African. That's
So
even
the
more.
ones are all African.
Do you know why?
Southern,
So
one Nigerian, yeah. I mean,
yeah, sorry?
So they're all African countries.
Okay. So I think I would do some research on those countries if I were you. I would understand the fundamentals of those countries. I would find out what industries are performing very, very well in those countries. What is the outlook for those industries in the next 3, 5, 10 years? How do I want to get exposure to those industries? Do I want to buy their shares? Do I want to invest in their corporate bonds? Right? Do I want to support, maybe take some more risk, maybe invest in not startup, but maybe early stage or middle stage companies in those industries? Do I want to then hedge those investments or create some kind of safety cushion by investing in government securities in those assets, right? So what I would do, yes, you're satisfying the emotional need of wanting to invest in all of those 3 countries, but you're strategic in how you're doing it. So you're making sure that you're taking care of yourself and you're being responsible by investing in those places that will make a lot of money for you and protect your capital, right? But you're also satisfying that part of yourself emotionally that has ties to those places. That's how I would approach it.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mary, I don't know if you can just unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Hello. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Mary.
Okay. My name is Mary. I'm happy to be here, and I've heard a lot so far, quite encouraging, and except for the fact that at the point where everybody began to share, or some people began to share what their weaknesses are, mine seemed to be the opposite. I'm a fashion designer. I'm into entertainment also, started as an actor and all that. I make clothes a lot. But unfortunately, I hardly make clothes for myself. So where we have other people spend on clothes and all that, even for something I could easily make for myself, if you're not paying me, I'm not making it. So except I have to pay myself to make clothes for myself. If I'm not going on the red carpet and, all that I know that I just have to look that part, I really do not do all that. And I'm supposed to be the one of the major advertiser of my product. So that's it by the side. Rather, my weakness, I've come to discover, lies in the fact that I am too quick to solve issues around. I don't know how I can explain that better. Even though when I pencil them down, they are mostly needs. I try to go around to say, okay, what am I really spending this money on? Because I make money. I mean, I may not be making as much as, but I mean, fair enough for my business. I make money. But like the question you asked one of the ladies to say, do you make profits? Because I make a lot of money, and when the money is coming, I spend them as they come. Maybe I'm not seeing through if I'm making profits or not, but I'm really spending and I'm really making money. I had tried to invest. Some time ago, I invested in shares. I tried to do some savings also, but I also feel that financially, I am not there yet. I'm not even there. Even though I walk around the clock, I work a lot. But I feel that I'm not equivalent financially what I do. And I don't even look what I do. Like the other lady said, she sells clothes and she can use her clothes to advertise. If I don't even tell you I'm a designer, you won't even believe it. You understand? So I don't know how to balance that, because it's a bit tight for me because when I pencil these things down, they're actually needs. Some of them are even day-to-day needs that I spend heavily on, and I'm making millions in my account, and yet I still can be broke even with the millions that I'm making, and as they are coming, they are going. So I don't know, it's quite a hot seat to be. So I need to find myself balanced financially. And especially I'm in the middle age now, I'm in my early 40s. I need to be more stable financially because I work around the clock. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be asking a question or I'm just ranting.
Both are welcome.
Okay, so, but that is it basically. I've listened to so many people speak and I hear their challenges, and sometimes I just feel, oh, I even wish it's clothes I'm spending money for. I can use it to advertise my work and all that. But in my own case, it's different. How do I manage myself financially, and how do I balance my business so I can invest properly? And by the time I'm crossing to the other side of the age of pension and all that, I am well balanced.
Okay. Mary, thank you for your courage in sharing your question. As you were speaking, it was actually reminding me of someone I had a conversation with not too long ago that was in your same shoes. She's making millions. She has a very successful business. At the end of the month, her own personal account is empty, and it has been spent on something. Now, the truth of the matter is, for us to address what you're saying, we can't actually do it in this forum. And that's why after we answer the questions, we're going to take you through what we are going to do, because what we wanted to share today was the theory. How you implement it, we cannot do it like this. You need workbooks, you need worksheets, you need to come with data, you need to come with your account printed for 3 months. We need to do analysis. And those are the kinds of things that Lolita and I want to do in our next in-person gathering that's happening on the 22nd of August. So I'll speak to that subsequently. The root of your question, Mary, is we need to understand those things that you are calling needs and why you are calling them needs and whether they are truly needs, right? So we need to understand what is going on there before we can then address the question. So yours is a question that would best be answered in an in-person gathering when you can actually sit down with yourself, with your bank statements, do the math, apportion everything, and then arrive at an answer. And then we start to ask ourselves, okay, why is this a need and what can be done to make sure that this is not a need, or we don't spend this much? Where can the holes be plugged? Lolita, do you want to add anything else?
Nothing much. I think you've covered it all. It has to be an inflection resolution. So you have to look deep within yourself, and the only way you can do that is having all of those materials in front of you, and then aligning it with the sort of questions that you need to ask, and then it'll be easier. And then the rest about in terms of why you don't market yourself, those are different. That is something that is more to do with behavioral and your choice. And then you can decide based on how your business is going, whether you will decide that you can afford to wear some of the clothes without buying them from yourself to market the business. So that's even understanding your brand and visibility. So Ash, is that clear? Mary? She's there.
Okay.
Hello, yes, sorry, I can hear you. Yes, it is. I understand.
Yeah.
Also for the question and answer, that was when we're to get registered for this webinar. I remember that you asked the question, one of the questions there was, what is the biggest challenge when it comes to building wealth? What is your biggest challenge? And what I wrote there was, I think I often create a lot of value before I build system that consistently capture that value. And I don't know how to find the balance in that either. I focus more on the value that I want to bring in, and maybe less of the business part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes finding that balance also is a struggle.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mary. I think you also need to give yourself credit because you have an incredible amount of self-awareness. That's kind of like a quarter of the problem solved. But I think, like I said, you would be someone I think that would really benefit from the in-person, because we're going to make sure that the way we're thinking about it and the way we structured it is that it is a data-driven conversation that you will have with yourself, and you're leaving with the findings so you can go and think, and you're leaving with tools for you to be able to develop those systems that you need for yourself. So we'll talk about it shortly. I know we're quite pressed for time, so I think, Wendy, any other questions after Sandra?
Yeah, no, after Sandra is the last person.
Okay, Sandra, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank
Good
you, Lolita and Ada, for a beautiful webinar. I think I've jotted a lot of things. So I'm a millennial and also a 9-to-5er in the room. So I just wanted to ask this question because I think I was speaking for a lot of 9-to-5 people. So we find that many people earn good salaries but never become wealthy. What separates them from building wealth? What separates a 9-to-5 from building wealth from those who are just like earning a living, like the entrepreneurs who are paying themselves? So my question will be, what is the most effective way to build long-term wealth if your primary source of income is a 9-to-5 job?
So Sandra, I am you and you are me. I am a 9-to-5er. My husband is a 9-to-5er. Sandra is definitely. And the only place we are building our wealth from right now is from our 9-to-5, and it is from our 9-to-5 that we are actually funding businesses that we're doing on the side. Do I believe it's possible for you to fund your 9-to-5, to build wealth from your 9-to-5? 1,000,000%. What is it going to require? You're going to have blinders. I don't buy Ashwebi. I don't make bespoke. I'm so sorry to the fashion designers in the room. I don't make bespoke clothing anymore. Because for me, I don't like, to me, the long-term value just was not making sense to me anymore. So for me, what I have found in my conversations with 9-to-5ers who are struggling to, especially women who are struggling to build wealth, they are overly preoccupied with what will it look like and what will people say. By the time, and this goes back to Lolita's point about mindset and comparison, and that's why it's so critical. Once you can dead that, oh, it will look like, oh, she would think that I'm not her friend because I did not buy her Ashwebi. How can I not buy her Ashwebi? She's doing 50th birthday, she will feel somehow if I don't buy Ashwebi. The lady that owns, I mean, it's probably not a commensurate example because she's an entrepreneur, but Mrs. Ogunlesi that owns Rough and Tumble does not buy Ashwebi. If you gather all the money that you have used to buy Ashwebi in the past 10 years and you used it to buy shares in Zenith, you'll be a I cannot even say it's millionaire by now. So can you? Yes. What will this require? You will have to die to the God or to the idol of what will they say and what will it look like. That's where your wealth will start to begin. With these few words of mine, I hope that I've been able to convince you and not confuse you. And quickly before we go, I want to talk very quickly, I know our time is fast spent, about what is going to happen at the next webinar, because we're going to actually unpack some of the things that we've discussed here. So I will share my screen quickly. Please let me know when you can see it. And I'll be honest, guys, because of the people that have as we've been speaking to about this thing, we've actually had someone buy a ticket, so we don't have much. We have tickets are starting to sell essentially. So we don't want you to just leave with notes. We want you to implement. We want you to leave with clarity in terms of what is working, what is not, what needs to change, what can you implement, and how we can support you 30, 60, 90 days. Today was a conversation. The gathering that we're going to have on the 22nd of August is where you do the work. You build your one-page money map with us guiding you. So We're going to have 6 sessions, 1 finished plan. Lolita is going to go deeper into what she has talked about in terms of the money funnel, money across generations, and plugging the leaks. So for example, scripts that you will have for when your family members are calling you to say the generator in the village spoils, and if you don't give them money for the generator, they are all going to buy. How do you deal with that? Things for, oh, your friend is doing Ashrabi, and if you don't do this, how do you handle that? Tactical things to do to help you plug those leaks that are preventing your money from staying where it is. Oh, you really want to buy this dress. What is the thinking? What are the tools that you're going to have in your toolkit so that when you're encountering those things, you have what you need to be able to resist and to be able to say no. And then for me, I come in building a budget that works. You're going to come in with your bank statements, your accounts. You are going to look through, having done some pre-work, we come in, we put some systems and some strategies in place. We've already given examples today talking about direct debits, etc., timing those direct debits, even the strategy that Lolita gave about exposing, if you're maybe later, maybe you're like a Gen X, how can you still make sure that you are accumulating income but exposing yourself safely and wisely to potential capital appreciation? Those are the things that we're going to talk about. You're going to have a saving system, what specific types of instruments you should be investing in, how you start, right? What that looks like 30 days after, 60 days after, 90 days after. And then we're going to actually, what we want to do is to have some case studies. So when you buy your ticket, if you want to be able to have you, and it will be purely anonymous, we will get so much information from you, and live in the class, we're going to address that thing, and you leave with clear answers, clear strategies to actually address that issue and make sure that your money is growing and working for you. So we map out where your money is going, we plug the leaks, build a real budget for real, regular, this shouldn't be irregular, it should be real, regular, and irregular income. Set up a saving system that runs without your willpower. So whether you feel like or you don't feel like, the money goes and is doing what it's supposed to do. And then you take your first concrete step into investing for people that have not done it before. As low as 10,000 Naira a month, you can start to invest, and there are vehicles for you to be able to do this, right? So you will leave having done the work, not just hearing about it and theorizing about it. And what do you walk away with? You have your money map that you're walking away with, a printed workbook where you will keep, you will reuse, you will track, you will hold yourself accountable, live money hot seat. So like I said, we will answer those case studies on the day for whoever wants us to do that on the day. We will extract as much information and go through it step by step on the day. An accountability pod, to the extent that we are amenable, people around you form groups of 2 to 4, so that even after the session, you can keep yourselves accountable. And then you have your 30-day plan, your 60-day plan, your 90-day plan. So you can, the intention is that from day 90, you're already starting to see interest income in your account. And it's encouraging you to keep and stick to the plan. And also community, right? It's very important. Our first coffee and conversations event, the camaraderie, the things that people shared, Lolita and I, we were blown away. So community, to keep ourselves accountable and keep ourselves honest and authentic, is so important. So why is it worth the investment? Today, we've just spoken in theory, right? In person, we're going to implement. I will not belabor the point. And so you have your leaks, your leaks plugged, you start your investments, pays back many times over. So the webinar showed you the problem. This is how to actually solve the problem on an individual basis. So we have early bird tickets, right? Early bird tickets is 60,000. This is for the first seats only. Right now, this is at 9 because one has already sold even before today. Regular ticket is 75,000. And once the first 10 are gone, price goes to 75,000. And for people who want to join virtually, virtual price is 45,000. So right now, Wendy and Goodness are putting the link to purchase your tickets in the chat, right? Grab your seats now, guys. Links are in the chat. Saturday, 22nd of August, 10 a.m. Venue is the conference room at the Hub by Ayala. It's a beautiful venue. This is not AI. We've actually been there. This is what it looks like. It's so beautiful. And we wanted to have a really, really nice, comfortable space that we can really have these conversations, and that's why we chose this space. So that's it from me, guys. Lolita, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add that I may not have touched.
No, I think you've covered it all. I just hope that people understand that money and mind, they work together. You have control. But thanks everyone. For those of you who kept back, I'm sure that it was worth it. Thank you so much for joining us.
So Wendy, do we have the link in the chat so that if people that want to buy their tickets can buy their tickets? I can't see it in the link in the chat.
They will send it. Yeah, if it's not here.
Oh, someone is
Yeah.
already asking for it. That's why it's important that we put it now so that people who want to. So let me just quickly go. I'll pop that in the chat. Just give me a minute.
Oh, I sent it already. I don't know.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
it's in the chat. Okay.
Yes, it's in the chat. Also, Wendy, drop the feedback form so that people can tick what they want to hear in the next webinar.
Okay, so the link is in the chat. Any other questions, guys? Any comments? Any issues? We'd be happy to get that. Get your comments and feedback. I do hope this was useful. Thank you guys for staying to the end. I'm always very surprised by the turnout. So thank you guys, pleasantly so. So thank you guys for spending your Saturday evening with us. It was as wonderful for us as it was, as I hope, or we hope it has been for you. Yes, Felicia, we'll paste this in the group as well. We'll paste this in the Coffee and Conversations group, paste this in the AHA group, paste it in the White Honeycomb Collective group. So you have, thank you so much, Olatilewa. I'm very happy that this was very useful for you. Please do take your time to fill in the feedback form. It helps us to make these sessions better for the future, make sure that we can serve you well. Thank you so much, Olatilewa, again. I really do appreciate. And you guys, you have you guys are members of our community. Lolita and I are very active there. You have any questions, any comments, please feel free to put it in there. We'll continue to push for the event on the 22nd, and we hope to see a lot of you there. We really think that there's a lot we can do together. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ms. Ada. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Lolita.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye. I think we can stop recording, Wendy.
Yeah.